Well, hello and welcome to Arts and Wellness Café. Thank you for joining me. I hope you are making yourself comfortable. I am. I've got my trusty. And yeah, has it been an interesting day? It's going to be an interesting day for a part of the world, and I guess the knock-on effects. They're waiting, and this is the only time I'm going to mention it with the elections and everything. So the word for today, or the word that I've been focusing on for the week, has been the word hopeful. And I talked about it on my podcast. It's a big fly. I don't know whether you can hear it. Anyway, talked about it on my podcast and looked at how that relates, or how we relate to that word. Coming from a creative perspective. So as an artist, as a creative, what is it you hope for? And obviously you can think about, again, whether you hope one body gets in or the other body. I'm not even going to as I said, I'm not going to mention them. That this is not the place. This is not the place today, because I want to focus on you. So if that is something that you're thinking about, then obviously it's whether you made it to vote or whether you hadn't voted, which you need to have done. Everybody needs to be involved in the process, and what knock-on effects that's going to have for you and your life. So bringing it back to the creative perspective, you have dreams, visions, goals, and things that you want to do, things that you're hoping for, and how do they come about? I mentioned the scripture, faith is a substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So you're hoping for it. You have the faith you're going to get it. You have the faith that this thing is going to happen. But it's not yet happened, so you have to keep believing that it will happen. But put a little pause in there. So where does the faith that I know this is going to happen stop or start, and you doing the things that you need to do? So you can't be saying, and this is what I was saying at one point many years ago in the beginning of my art, I was a beginner in my art career, and I was saying, oh gosh, I wish I had a whole day to go and do art. And I've never had a whole day to go and do art unless I've taken it. I've had to decide that, or these are the things I'm working on. And there was times that I could have done it, but I chose to do other things. So what is it that you're making a priority over the things that you say you want to do? So again, you can insert there, your health, your family, your mental health. You can substitute anything in there. What is it you're making priority over the things that if you need to look after your mental health, you need to be doing things to help you. So it's this little tiny mosquito, and the small ones are the ones that bite the hardest, I think, because they've not yet been taught, just land on the person lightly, and then just, take your time. Don't try and fill your belly. But what is it that you're doing? You have to do something. So, I think for me, what I had to do was I had to decide that I needed to make time at the end of the day, because I was working full time, and then I was coming home, and obviously because you don't know, but I had a young child. He's now 24. But I was it's broken. But I had a young child, and family, and so by the time I got home it was like 6:30. No, it wasn't even 6:30, it was later, sometimes 7:30. So I would cook. I normally cook for at least 2 days, and so if there wasn't leftovers, then I'd obviously have to cook something. And it was just like I wasn't then getting to do any art until sort of like about 9-10 o'clock, and then I would be up until 2, because at the time I was doing card making, so I was making all these cards and the wording and everything. And so part of me just said, really? It was like 10 till 2, 4 hours. But it was just like I was passionate about it. So if you're passionate about a thing, then you make the time. So I made the time, and I stopped saying, what I would say was, I wish I could. And so then what's happened over the years is that, a way has been made. So I have stepped out, and you have to step out to enable things to fit in and fall in place and to be where you need to be. So sometimes I would be, so if we take it to a different example, so sometimes I would be creating things and thinking, do you know what, I really need to do X, Y, and Z, but I'm compelled to do it. Like I've been recently making a lot of backgrounds, and I think it's like it's a preparation for maybe there'll come a time where I won't have the time to do, like with the glue and sticking down collage paper and stuff like that, and so I'll only have time to do a little bit, something else. So what I'm doing at the moment is prepping pages, and just prepping pages and then doing stuff on it. So like, prepping, doing some backgrounds. The next bit I did was add paint, and I've just collaged a couple of words and stuff like that. And so here's a couple of other pages that I've done. So sometimes, you're compelled to do something. Obviously, you've got to balance it out with some of the things you have to do. Like I knew that there's several things I have to get done today, and several things that I have to get done by the end of this week. So I really have to step up. So what I'd said to myself was that you have to spend less time with your creative practice this morning because there's other things you need to do. Because sometimes anyway. So you have to make time, you have to make a way. And so for me, prepping those pages means that when I've only got, say, 10 minutes, I can do something. And later on, I'll be working on something. I'll tell you what I'll be working on afterwards. Anyway, so what is it you're hoping for? What is it you're doing to put you on track? You don't know how the thing that you hope for necessarily is going to transpire. Like I said, if you've said, oh, I want a degree, but you're not, studying, or you haven't signed up for a course, or you want a degree and Corona's hit, and so what are you then going to do? Something online? Are you going to do some background reading to the thing that you want to do? There are always ways and things that you can alternatives that you can do to get closer to the desired dream. And so bringing it back to the art now, I would say, like, sometimes I will show a technique, and I would say, well, this is like, if I was working with, say, I don't know, jelly print comes to mind. Okay, so I remember when the jelly prints first came out, and I really wanted a jelly plate, I really wanted a jelly plate, and at the time I couldn't afford it. And so I scoured the YouTube to see how I could make one. And I made one, and it was just like, I made two, and they were actually really good. But since I brought it to, did I make it here? No, I made it in England. Yeah. So, but coming here, so the base is gelatin. It melted. It melted. So, so I haven't got a jelly plate now. But I know how to make backgrounds. You know, a jelly plate has its uses. You could do monoprinting on perspex. I've got loads of perspex. So it's just like, if you don't have that specific thing, there are things that you can do alternatively. Yeah, and so don't get hung up on, right, you know, don't think that you have to work out every step of the way. You don't. You just have to do your part. Do today. Do what you need to do today. Get that done, and then move on. And so I've stopped asking myself, well, why are you doing this? What are you making this for? Because that's what I would get asked. It was just like, I'd be making, say, like if I was doing sculpture, like I do sculpture as well, but often some of my figures, I make the heads, the faces, I make the faces from moulds. So I must have been making, like, not 100, but I was making a lot of faces, and I was asked, you know, well, why are you doing all of that? You know, why? And it was just like, for one, I don't have to explain myself. For two, I can't even, but I don't know, but I know I need to. And what happened is that they've all come in use. I've still got a few left. So, you know, sometimes you have to, that's what's called batching. You know, sometimes you have to make up a few things, and that will help you so that you don't have to, you know, do it like every single time, getting out your clay, getting out the mould, and then, you know, waiting for it to dry. I don't need to do that. So with the faces, what I did was, you know, I did a load of faces, let them dry, then they had to be covered with tissue paper, because it's air-dried clay. You can do the paint on it, and this is by experiment. You can paint it, but if it's acrylic paint, eventually will peel off, and that's not what you want. So you have to then, you know, put a different surface on. They all have to be gessoed, and then I had to put a layer of tissue paper, sort of like, so you get a texture now on the face, and, you know, and then when they're ready to be, when they're ready to be, sorry, but you have just dropped in, and this is how it is sometimes. It's just like they're using this place as a runway. The flies, I don't know whether that's a fly or a wasp or a bee. No, it looks like a fly. Yeah, anyway, but so sometimes you have to batch, sometimes, and it's, you know, the more mature I get, not in age, but in terms of ability, I realise that there are some things, you know, some things, there's so many things that I want to do that unless I do sort of like make up a load of backgrounds in preparation, do a whole batch of them, because I've got, you know, the paper there, got the glue, and I can just spend, you know, like a couple of hours or an hour or so doing these different surfaces. It then frees me up to be able to get through the list of things that I want to do. And that list is sitting next door. I've got, but that's one of the things that I do in terms of, you know, like the batching, and as I say, I've got a whole long list of things that I've always wanted to do, I want to complete. And this week has been one of those weeks where, okay, if you don't do it now, it's going to be a detriment to you. I've allowed myself time to actually go through some of the sessions that the teachers, from the other teachers, whilst it was all going on. I didn't have time to kind of like, you know, do some of the lessons. The only one that I did was the eco dyeing and using avocado seed. And I've just been like consumed, because there's so many things I want to do with this avocado seed. And every time we get avocado, like we have it at least once a week, and the seeds are like this big. So as opposed to planting, because I've got an avocado tree growing, so it was just like, do you need another avocado tree? Perhaps I could do with another avocado tree somewhere in the garden. But I've got 2 seeds already that I'm thinking, there's 2 seeds already that I've got to now process and make some avocado ink. And the other thing that I make, so what I do then, so this is, I've still got to use this, so oh, this is a nice segue into the next bit. I've been dyeing fabrics with this, and what it is the avocado seed pulp. It still smells nice because I put clove oil in it, but I have to actually use this probably before the end of the week, because what's happening is wherever I lay it, it's seeping. Well, I guess it's the heat in here, so it's kind of, I don't know, fermenting or doing something, but it keeps leaking out. I've got paper down, and actually I can use a paper because that's the ink. Yeah. So oh yes, so I I've made the pulp, and I now need to dye some fabric in the same way that I've done the others. And I did a short video which I haven't even yet kind of finished editing, of some of the fabrics that I've done. So I've now got to get some more fabric and put that on the fabric, and then with the avocado seeds that I've got waiting in there, they have to be processed this week, because one's been sitting out, and I know they can dry. One's in the fridge, and the avocado pulp, the avocado flesh on it can't be used. But the other thing that I experimented with is the cotton from my garden. So I haven't yet deseeded this, so that's what I'll need to do. But I just soaked it in some of the ink that I'd created, and it's actually taken. So now what I've got to do is deseed it and then card it. And this nearly, the seeds nearly started to sprout, and I'm sure a couple of them have, because they were sitting in there for a few days. It doesn't smell, thankfully, and that's the thing about using clove oil. Actually works quite well. It's got a nice smell, and I think it's antibacterial, antifungal, so you get quite a long-lasting. It's quite long-lasting. Yeah. Getting through the taster sessions, doing some of the. I'll be sharing some of the lessons. Not that I won't share the lessons, but I've gone through the lesson and done what that particular teacher had done. So art inspired by the lessons that some of the teachers did on the life book. So the way I work sometimes is, I look at the instructions, because I guess I've developed my own style of working. So what I usually do is I've watched to see what kind of tips that I can learn. So there is the bit about doing the project itself and completing that particular image that they do. But sometimes, well, I guess the more experience you get, you then try to extract some of the techniques that you can maybe use. And the one I'm going to show you is, but I have my own way of, you know, working with collage and then adding, you know, which is quite similar to very similar to what I've done in the taster session. So add in, you know, signs and symbols and, you know, mark making. But there's one teacher, I can't remember her name now, but she did the dragonfly image. So I normally do faces, so well, you'll see, and what I'm going to do is work on some of the mark making in it at the end of this video. So if you want to see me working on that, then stay until the end, and I will leave timestamps so that you know. But yeah, it's like, what can you, from the technique that they use, what can you extract from that and maybe add to what you're doing yourself? So don't think that, you know, some people think, oh yeah, you know, I know everything. Do they? I think, oh yeah, I know everything. But you're always learning as an artist, and that's what you've got to remember. You're always learning. So even those artists that you see who are teaching on the life book, you know, we are always learning, and we're always learning new techniques. And so for me, the focus now is, you know, well, I don't normally draw animals, but so far I have done Tam's. She did a fox. Is it a fox? I think. But mine didn't look like a fox. Mine looked like a cat. So, you know, I guess cats are the ones that I kind of lean towards. And I did a mini dragonfly. So anyway, you'll see. I will be sharing more this week, but today I just wanted to share a little bit of one of the pieces that I'm working on. And then this week share some of the others on my blog. I'll do that. The other thing, quite exciting, is, well, it's exciting. It's new horizons for the ambassador for the Argentina Embassy. He's always, since he's been here in Barbados, he's supported the artists here. If there was a fly, it was a fly, but he supported the artists here, and once a month he had a new exhibition. So we had an additional space as artists that we could exhibit at. So it was either group exhibits or solo exhibits, but once a month it would be changing, and that was really great. It was really nice to get to, you know, meet a whole range of additional, you know, artists around the island, but also art lovers. You know, you get they had a different, you know, a mailing list that was, you know, he knew quite a few people, a cross-section of people, so it wasn't just the arts. So it was some of the exhibition openings. It was nice to meet some of the people from, you know, different walks of life, and taste some of the Argentinian wine. But I've got a piece on exhibit at the Argentina Embassy, and so what's happened is he's been recalled back to Argentina, and there was a farewell exhibition. So we've had the exhibition opening and a farewell. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make that, but there's some wonderful work by a whole host of artists from around Barbados. And if you are here or coming, the exhibition runs until January. So, and it's by appointment. So, you know, you just make an appointment, you can go down and see it. So I hope that you're able to do that. So wrapping up now, let me just take a sip. Wrapping up now, when we look at, you know, hold on to that word hopeful and think about the things that you are hoping for. It's important to have dreams. It's important to have things that you're hoping for, that you want to work on. Like when I think about my garden, my vision is for a food forest. That's what I want. I want to be able to go out there and go, oh yes, I fancy mango. Actually, no, I won't have that variety of mango. Let me go and have that variety of mango. Or I've got planting growing now. The flower, it flowered. There doesn't seem to be, I don't know whether, well, it's not, I don't think there's going to be a big bunch, because as the flowers unfolding, what you think is the petals is actually the planting. So I don't know whether it's just going to be a small, like probably about no more than 20 plantain fingers, is going to come from it. But yeah, I've got plantain growing, and I've got sugarcane. I've got sugarcane. So that was my vision is for the garden, is to have a food forest. And so I'm seeing, because I've written my vision out, I know what my vision is, I'm working towards it. Do you know what it feels like now? I will say something like, oh, I really want to grow sugarcane. And so this is what I said, I really want to grow sugarcane. And then we'll come from church one day, and we was giving this guy a lift home, and he said, oh, do you want to come and, he's got this little garden, and he was showing us something, and I was like, oh, what's that? He's like, that's sugarcane. I was just like, oh, I'd love to grow it. And so he gave me a piece to grow. The first batch didn't work out because I soaked them for too long and they just rotted. The second lot, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Anyway, so that was my vision for the garden. My vision as an artist is to, grow and connect, grow in terms of my output and the things that I'm doing, the collaborations that I have, the impact that I'm making to those who have desires to do art themselves. I like giving advice, I like sharing, I like showing you how to do stuff. So I hope that that's a I hope that that's a blessing. I also like to create my own art, sculptures, the fabric pieces, and share those things. And so it's doing more of that, growing, being able to, I've got books that I want to complete. There's quite a few things. So do you know what? These ants. Anyway, yeah, so there's quite a few things. It's just like, what's she doing? What's she looking at now? Just ignore it. But when you see one ant, you know it's not just one, because they just send out scouts. And I probably need to give this place just a bit of a tidy up. I'm kind of in between projects, and then it's just like, oh my gosh, I want to do this, and oh, I've got to finish that, and I've got quite a few deadlines to meet over the next 2 months, because we're in November now, aren't we? Yeah, November, December, January. So the next 4 months are quite intense, because I've got additional projects on top of the regular things that I'm trying to get a handle on and get ahead of, so that I can, and that's where the batching comes in, so that I can then focus on new things and bring in new changes. So what I would also suggest is, if you're doing the sessions, when you do it once, so you do the lesson once, but go back and do it again with a different supply, so that you can see, okay, yeah, actually, I like how that turned out. Even though she did it in watercolour, I actually like how it turned out in acrylics, or I like using pastels. So it's time to experiment, it's time to explore, and it's time to extend yourself and step out of your comfort zone, so you can actually get to the place where, you know, you'll feel comfortable, but then you have to stretch yourself again. So I'm in that place where I'm constantly trying things because that's my nature. I love to experiment. I love to experiment. I don't often follow the recipes and things like that. So when I cook, it'd be like, oh, what's in the cupboard? And, oh, actually, okay, so we'll take this, and this. I'm not a recipe person. But, yeah, stepping out of your comfort zone to then you start to become comfortable, and maybe you stay there for a bit, but then you have to keep, you know, continually stretching yourself and, you know, try new things. And so, and I'd gone through a stage where it's just like, I really can't be bothered to cook. I don't want to cook anything. I want to be wined and dined. Anyway, so let's get back. Take care for now, and I'm going to show you. There was yeah, I'll show you this one. We'll just do a little bit of it, okay? So, come on, let's start. Hey guys, well, welcome. Okay, so let me run through a few of the things that I've been doing, and then I will either do this page, or there's another page that I might work on, which is not in that one. I want to show you something in there. Okay, let's just start, shall we? So this was, I showed you briefly the this is the inks that I made from the avocado, just to give you a better view. And I'm going to show you, I will be doing a video on that, but that is the ink itself. It goes like a purple. When it dries, it kind of gets lighter in colour. So I haven't actually used this to draw with. I've made some mini journals which I shared from before, and I've actually taken them another step, so I've done some additional things to them, and I've added I've collaged on the pages there, and I've just added some bits and pieces. So these are they're 1 inch, but I'll be doing a blog post on that to show you. I might even do a video, I don't know, maybe a video, we'll see. So this is the seed. Once you've boiled it, you blend it, and then I strained it, and so that's what we got. This is from the Mexican sunflower. I'll come to that in a minute. Let me just see this. It's from the Mexican sunflower. So we get like a pale, very pale colour here. I'm going to experiment with it more to see how I can alter it. But what I do with this now is I get the fabric, and then I literally paint on designs and allow it to dry, and then this will dry on. This will dry caked. It comes out a bit better on the this will dry on caked, so that's not what I really meant to say. So this will dry on, but because I'd probably need to stir this. Yeah, I'll need to stir it a bit better, because there's a bit of there's water within it, so it dries on with a kind of a layer of this on it, and then once it cracks, once it dries, it cracks, and some of the colour, because this like acts as a resist, and the water content with the ink seeps out to the side. So this bit out here on either side usually retains the colour of the ink, so it'll be purple, and this bit is white, or whatever colour the fabric is, so usually white. I've only done it on white anyway. So that's that. So I really need to use this up. Just see how much fabric I've got that I can add to. So that's that. And then I also, let me just move this out of the way because you can see a peep of it. Just rinse that, because we're going to be using that in some dirty water. This is a cotton. So what I'm going to do is, so I've dyed it in the same avocado ink. And look at this purple. So as it dries, as I was rinsing it out, some of it was coming out. I did add mordant, but what I need to do is remove the seeds, and I should have done that before I dyed it. So I should have removed the seeds and then then carded it and then dyed it. But I've got a load of cotton that I had so much that I couldn't process it all. So I have it sitting upstairs in a box. But then, you know, there's more cotton that's going to be grown this year. So I've just got to get a move on. So that's why I'm always doing sort of like, you'll see different kind of projects, because I'm actually each day at least trying at least something new or finishing off something. Anyway, so these are the cotton seeds that can be planted, and I've got more than enough growing at the moment. So let me show you the journals now. Move these out of the way. So I need a couple of assistants to then I'll say, okay, so this is the design, and here's the but be careful what you wish for, because as I say, when I was talking about my plants, I've said, oh, I really want to grow this, and somehow I get it like it comes. Anyway, okay, so it's this, no, it's this one. Sorry about this. Okay, so backgrounds. I was talking about doing backgrounds in batches, and so what I do with some of the journals. So I've got loads of paper. Let me show you. So on top of the paper that I would be creating and painting myself, so like even this under paper, I would utilize this, take it off. I've already got where the avocado has leaked. I've already got stains of that, and that actually looks quite nice, so I'm going to use that. Anyway, I've been collecting paper for years, and this is just a small selection of paper that I would have got from magazines, and I've been buying magazines for at least 5 years. I started my art journey drawing using graphite, and then I got into card making. So I would collect this, you know, this is from my card making days. I've got loads of, I wanted to get into scrapbooking. I've got loads of 12 by 12 and this size 6 by 6. Scrapbooking, I never really, I wanted to get into it when I first saw it, but then once I brought not one but 3 scrapbooks, and I only use it to store paper. So all of these papers would have been over a 5-year period, been given free in magazines, and so, you know, as I say, I now use these for backgrounds. So let's just get onto that. And the other magazine that I really love, is my favourite, is Stampington, and they would in the middle of the magazine, they would normally have like 3 or 4 pages that had been, you know, an artist had created, and so yeah, I make the I've been doing the backgrounds in batches, and this is just the first layer. So I would do these 2 pages, and then I might go on to another journal, because I found that you can only really do 2 pages at a time, obviously, because, you know, or you can do 2 and 1. But I've just been laying down paper, and if I've only got a few minutes, I'll just take some scraps of paper, and like I've just done here. This is a like a catalogue, store catalogue. So here's other things that I've done. Here's a background that I did. So again, just adding paper. This means a lot to me, because I used to run art workshops for the elderly who were living with dementia, and my mother was in one of my groups, and this was towards I did it for 3 or 4 years, and this is towards the 3rd and 4th year. Initially Mum was looking at images and recreating the images, and towards the end she was doing more, just adding, like, it's like adding colour to the page. So these were crayons on like a sugar paper, and she would just spend, you know, she would just pick up the different colours and then just literally apply it to the page. So that's something that I do now as well. And that's probably one of the pages we'll look at as well to work on. But yeah, so this was done, so we're going back 10 years. So I found all these papers that she'd worked on, and I thought to myself, do you know what, just add it to, wouldn't it be nice to add it to some of your art journals? And so that's what I did. And if you take a look at, which one is it? One of these I added, and I'll probably write some messages on there. So these little small ones, I've just added snippets of the paper that she would have, you know, created on, and she was enjoying herself at the time. So the intentions were, you know, having fun, and it was a peaceful time, because it's a soothing time, because creating can be. So again, papers from the magazine that they would give away. They'd give away booklets of background papers, which is really great. And the magazine only costs like £3.50. So these are pages that I would have prepped, and I've gone in here as well, and where have I done it now? Here. So like I showed you the one that Mama had done, here's one that I just went over it. It was, I collaged on it, and I had just added Inktense pencils. And sometimes, where's the brush? Oh, there it is. Sometimes I just feel like doing this, where, excuse the water, we just had just gesso water. So I usually start with the lighter colours, so I've done yellow, and I just go over it. So again, if I've only got a little bit of time, or, you know, I'm not quite sure what I want to do, I will go in and just work on a page like this. And just the colouring in, we know that a lot of colouring books now for adults have become very popular, and I'm just going to rub the excess off on here. They've become very popular, and because it is quite a soothing activity, and you don't have to worry about, like, I don't worry about, there's no lines to stay within, but I'm just activating the colours and wiping off any excess, and some of the colours will blend together, some won't. I haven't decided what this page, you know, what's going to be on it. The things that I normally do are faces or figures. I would look at this background and say, well, think about what I can see emerging, and it's just a soothing thing to do. So this is something, I'll just do it on that page, it's easier. This is something that I suggest you, you know, just find something that, you know, whether it's, you know, whatever supply you use, or try it with a supply that you're not as familiar with, and just play with it on a page. You don't have to be creating anything in particular. Like, as I said, I've not thought about what I could possibly create on here. I'm not giving it any thought. It doesn't matter. That particular time and thought is not for now. It's just literally to apply the to activate the colors. And it's part of a meditative process that you just allow yourself to enjoy. You can have some music on. I wouldn't watch something, you know, like put your Netflix on your phone. I wouldn't do that, but just, you know, take some time to spend with your supplies. Now you'll see some areas where it's resisting, and that's because I've collaged the paper on it. You may be able to, well, you won't be able to see it, but I can still see it had snowflakes on it, so I can still see some of that peeping through. Where haven't I done? And what I'm now feeling is gesso. Feeling to add some gesso, so I will get my little thing here. Oops, see, get my palette knife and put some on there. Again, there's no specific thought. I just wanted to see what would happen if I add some gesso to the page or in areas. Right, so I've done that and it looked nice. I like it. But that's all I feel like doing, so I don't have to do any more. And I like to allow the paper to dry naturally, so actually I'm just going to do a little bit up here. There. And yeah, I'm going to just leave that and go on to something else. What I'm going to have to do is use up that gesso, so that will go and dry, and what I'll do is I'll look and see what pages I can maybe add gesso to. Thinking whether I was working on something. Anyway, let's just let that dry and I'll do that off camera. So the other one that I wanted to show you is in here, and you'll be able to see I do use a lot of recycled materials. So again, this is a from a university part-time course guide. So this was from one of the taster sessions. It wasn't this particular thing. What the artist did was dragonflies, and so I did a little dragonfly in here, but I'd initially done this and it was just like, but you haven't followed the specific instructions that she'd put. It's just like, that's how I work. But what I like to do is take elements, so I like the idea of so you've gessoed the whole page and then you put down your image. There's been some really beautiful images online in the classroom and in the taster session classroom, and it's all soaked in. Yeah, so there's been some, and if you sign up to Lifebook 2021, you'll get all the taster sessions free. Anyway, so I'm gonna see how much time I'm gonna spend on this, and we'll come in a bit, shall we? Yeah, because I was working on the face. So I've literally just I'd collaged the papers, and then I wanted to do a figure. That's what I was seeing. This is the first figure that came out, but I'm not going to work on her now. But she came out, and then I started using, I've got tissue paper, brown tissue paper, on top of the papers that I'd had, and I just thought it looked really nice. So I'm just going to spend some time doing this, and I hope that you feel inspired to do your own, whatever you decide to do as your image. But the technique that I liked that she did was so you've got your figure, whatever it is, and then you go in again and add paper, and then go over the white lines. You go over the white bits again, and you get additional bits of interest. And I was just like, I never thought of doing it like that. So I actually quite like, so I actually quite like it. So I'm just gonna get on and do some of this, and I hope some of what I've shared with you, you've been able to take something away from it, and don't feel that you have to hurry and do a particular piece of work and get it finished, because I'll probably not even, finish this. I will probably come back and do some more. So I don't feel that I have to finish everything in one sitting. You just do what you can, what you want to, and then take it from there. So enjoy the rest of this video, where I'm just literally going to be adding additional bits to this, and I hope you have a blessed week and weekend.